Hello everyone and welcome. I am so excited that this is my first video ever. Allow me to introduce myself first. My name is Jay and I love anything and everything that has to do with true crime. I love researching cases, real, fictional. I love watching any type of movies, TV shows, even if they are fictionalized. I love spreading the word for these people's cases. I do believe that a lot of cases do not get the coverage that they deserved, and I am here to start spreading awareness. I want to always give my respect to the victims for my cases, and of course to all of their loved ones as well. For my videos, I will be focusing mainly on the victims, as they are the ones that deserve to be remembered in my opinion. I will of course give background information for the murderers, perpetrators, for the case, but my main focus will always be the victim, never on the murderers. I will get all of my info from the internet, so please be mindful that not everything may be 100% accurate. I will, of course, do my best. Some info may be distorted or stretched out a bit, but I will try and to include only relevant info, and the info that I do share, I will find the info from multiple articles and not just one, just to improve the accuracy. I do find them from multiple sources and articles. I do encourage comments, good and bad, so please feel free to comment below. I do ask for everyone to try to be respectful to one another. Your comments about me, real or bad, I can take, no problem with it. But I do talk about real people's lives, and I do ask for everyone that do comment below to be respectful of each other. That's all that I ask. So I will now show you my disclaimer, which is of course a content warning for this video, and this will be included in all my future videos because again I do touch on very sensitive topics, subjects, themes, and it may not be suitable for everyone. I am a very visual person, so there will be photos and possibly clips, if possible, added to my videos, so please keep that in mind as you watch. So let's go ahead and get to today's case. Alright, today we will be talking about the case of Sandra Cantu. This is a little older case, really not that older. This case did happen in 2009, so keep that in mind. Let's give a little bit of backstory about Sandra and who she was. She was born on March 8th, 2001 in Tracy, California to her mother Maria Chavez and her father Daniel Cantu. She was a very social little girl, and she was known to have been able to start a conversation with anyone and everyone. And she was also able to make friends apparently wherever she went. Anywhere she went, she made a friend. She was also described as bubbly, friendly. She was very talkative, and she was apparently always eager to help someone. Anytime a teacher or someone asked for help, Sandra was always the first one to want to help. She had an infectious laughter and was a bit of a daredevil on her bike, actually. She loved playing with all the neighborhood kids in the trailer park where she lived. She loved Hello Kitty and watching Hannah Montana, as that was her favorite show. Her favorite color, with no surprise as how much she loved Hello Kitty, was of course pink. She was a second grader and attended Melville S. Jacobson Elementary School at the time when this case began. She lived with her mother, her maternal grandparents, and 3 siblings at the Orchard Estates Mobile Home Park. Sandra's family always knew that Sandra was out playing with the neighborhood kids, and they trusted this place that they lived at and believed it was a safe place. Sandra always came home and checked in pretty much multiple times a day. She would just come in, say hi to her family, let them know that she's gonna try some other friend to play with, and she always came home. Her mother's rule was to always be home for dinner, and Sandra always abided by this, and she always came home when she was supposed to. So that brings us to the day of her disappearance. On March 27th, 2009, it was another normal Friday for Sandra. She went to school as normal, and as usual, she went straight to one of her friends' houses right after school. Sandra did come back home and checked in with her family around 3 p.m., and she let them know that she was going to go and try a different friend's house to play. She then set off straight to her friend's house, but this friend either wasn't able to play or she wasn't currently home, so she had to move on. She tried other trailers with other friends that she had, but she didn't have any luck with anyone being able to play, so she decided to go back home. There is a footage, and this is a security camera footage that her grandparents installed onto her trailer. It shows the front of the trailer, and this is the most probably popular footage of this case. If you have heard of the Sandra Cantu case before, you've probably seen this video. It's very popular. And this footage does sadly show the last time Sandra is seen alive. I will go ahead and insert the clip for you guys now. Okay, so this is very eerie footage to me, especially knowing what happened to Sandra very shortly after this was taken. She's seen obviously skipping home without a care in the world. Just reminds me of how I would have skipped home at that age. She is almost to her front door. She is literally feet away, but then she veers off to the right, seemingly to have been called over by someone, and she just continues to go to the right until she is out of view. This footage was approximately taken at 3:53 p.m. At this point, it's been a couple of hours since that footage, and it's past dinner time. Sandra's family immediately realizes Sandra's not there. They have not seen her. She has not checked in. They immediately feel like something's wrong because Sandra has never done this. This is not like her at all to be coming late or not to be coming at all. So Maria, her mother, of course, started going around the trailer park, asking around, seeing anyone saw her or if they knew where she was at, thinking that possibly she just lost track of time. But no one had seen the little girl for hours at this point. At around almost 8 p.m. the same day, Maria went ahead and reported her 8-year-old daughter, Sandra Cantu, missing. The Tracy police force, they wasted no time, and thankfully, unlike a lot of other cases that I read about, the police did work very hard and were very serious to try to find Sandra immediately. They wasted not a second. Missing persons posters were made, and it describes Sandra with her brown hair, her brown eyes. She was about 4 feet tall and weighed approximately 45 pounds. She was wearing a pink Hello Kitty shirt and black leggings the day she disappeared. It was an immediate manhunt. Police volunteers searched all over the area. Throughout the next few days, helicopters, canine units, divers searched high and low. Everyone's trash was eventually searched just to find any type of evidence that could point to where Sandra was at or what happened to her. There was a 70-mile radius search on foot from her trailer park, but unfortunately nothing was found during these searches. A vigil was held for Sandra. I believe it was the day after she disappeared. And an incident does occur during this vigil, and I will bring this up later, but I did want to go ahead and put it in here just to kind of keep this in chronological order. But just keep in mind that something bizarre happens during this vigil, but we'll get back to that. A $22,000 reward was offered a few days into the search for any information that could lead to Sandra. And tips and leads piled on. Police tried their best to cover all of these leads, but as more and more time went on, nothing was still found. And the people in the community of Tracy, they began losing hope. Everyone knows statistically the longer a child is missing, the more and more less likely it is for them to be found at all, let alone alive. The community came together. Everyone wanted to find Sandra and bring her home. So many people volunteered to search for Sandra every single day. This search does come to a sad end on April 6, 2009, 10 days after Sandra disappeared. Police received a phone call from a local man informing the police that a suitcase, a black suitcase, was found in a local irrigation pond. This man, when he saw the suitcase, he immediately thought it was suspicious. He was fully aware of Sandra's case. He knew that Sandra was missing, and apparently Sandra was his first thought. So he wasted no time. He contacted the police. Police came. This irrigation pond was located only 2 miles from the trailer park Sandra lived at. The police were able to fish out this suitcase. It, again, was a black suitcase with a white string tied around to keep it shut. The first thing that they noticed as they were pulling this suitcase out of the water was that it smelled. It had a terrible, foul, reeking odor. And when they smelled this, police were fairly certain what they would find inside the suitcase. So they didn't open it right there. They transferred the suitcase to the medical examiner's office, and when they unzipped it and looked inside, there was the severely decomposing body of 8-year-old Sandra Cantu. She was quickly identified by the clothes that she was wearing, as she was still wearing the Hello Kitty shirt and black leggings. Dental records officially confirmed her identity a couple of days later. An autopsy was performed also, and I will give another warning here if you do not want to hear information on the autopsy results of this beautiful child, because it is hard to hear, see, read. It's horrible. So if you don't feel comfortable, go ahead and skip ahead a couple of minutes so you don't have to hear it. But I will go ahead and give as much information for this autopsy as I can. Sandra was wearing clothes. She did not have any defensive wounds. She had been sexually assaulted with a foreign object, as she had injuries to her genitals. This foreign object is later identified as a rolling pin. You know, one of those kitchen rolling pins that you use to like roll pizza dough. That's what was used. She had been drugged with a high dose of alprazolam, and I apologize if I am saying that wrong because I am not good with drug names, so I do apologize if that is not the correct way to pronounce it. Alprazolam is a sedative, and it typically is used to treat anxiety disorders or panic disorders, so it's a relaxer, a muscle relaxer. Sandra was also found with a white cloth around her neck. It had been knotted into a noose. She was murdered by homicidal asphyxiation. It is hopefully and widely believed that Sandra was unconscious during her attack. She had been beaten. To the extent of how much she was beaten, we don't know, as a full autopsy was sealed upon Sandra's family's request, and I do not blame them whatsoever for wanting this sealed, but that is what I have found for this autopsy. I'm sure there's a lot more to it, but that is what is available to us. So once Sandra's body was discovered, the police again wasted no time with questioning potential suspects. The police started, of course, questioning Sandra's male family members. Her father, Daniel Cantu, was questioned. Him and Maria were separated at this point. He did not live with them, and he was in fact out of the state when Sandra was reported missing, so he was quickly ruled out. Her maternal grandfather that lived with her was also questioned, but again, quickly ruled out. The police were focusing their profile on a white male between the ages of 25 and 40 years old They were looking for someone with a history of maybe child pornography, sexual assault, sex offenders. They were looking into any registered sex offenders around the neighborhood. There were a couple of other suspects here, and I found multiple articles of this. I will put in that I'm not sure how accurate this information is, but since I see it in multiple sources, I will go ahead and bring it up. The police apparently questioned a man that lived in the trailer park Sandra lived at. And I bring this one up because there are apparently a few witnesses to this, that there was an incident that happened a couple of years before Sandra went missing. Sandra was about 6 years old, and apparently multiple people witnessed this man, and he was with Sandra by the pool. And he apparently brushed her hair back and then kissed Sandra on the lips. And that thought absolutely disgusts me. I don't know why he did this. I don't know if he knew Sandra. I really have no idea. But this is a grown-ass man kissing a 6-year-old that's not his niece, not any relatedness to her, and it's just disgusting. But they ruled out this guy. They did question him apparently, and he was ruled out. Then there was another potential suspect here, and this was another man. He was a registered sex offender. He lived relatively close to Sandra. I mean, within a few miles. He wasn't at the trailer park, but he lived within a few miles. He was questioned a lot, actually, and this man denied any involvement. He did not know Sandra. He did not kidnap her. He did not murder her. But he did, apparently, during his questioning, did say just something so disgusting, and I can't even believe he admitted this to police. But he did admit during his questioning that although he did not know anything about Sandra, he was attracted to little girls around the ages of 9 and 10, and apparently said, and I quote, "It is harmless," end quote. I don't know why he would admit this to the police, but this guy's obviously a sick individual. He did rule him out for Sandra's case, but I hope to God that they continued to follow up with this man for what he said. So the police questioned pretty much everyone that lived in the trailer park, right? Over and over again. And there is this one person that kept coming up in this case over and over again. And the police were starting to find a lot of evidence against this person. It wasn't the white man that was between the ages of 25 and 40 that everyone thought they were looking for. It wasn't a man at all, actually. This person was actually a 28-year-old woman, and she was a Sunday school teacher, and her name is Melissa Huckabee. For the remainder of the video, because I have such little respect for murderers, I will be referring to her for the remainder as MH. So a little bit of background about MH. She was a single mother, and she was a neighbor to the Cantu family at the trailer park. In fact, Sandra was a frequent visitor to MH, as she had a 5-year-old daughter that Sandra loved playing with. She was one of Sandra's many friends, and according to MH, Sandra was her daughter's best friend. So she got to spend a lot of time with MH and probably trusted her without a second thought. Some important information about MH here that I think is relevant is she had a pretty long history of mental illness. I've seen several articles that she had been previously diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, schizophrenia, anxiety, depression. She had a history of self-harm, and she had a few suicide attempts throughout her life. People who have known her say that she was described as very attention-seeking, and as I go through the remainder of this case, there is quite compelling evidence that does suggest that she is very attention-seeking. So from the moment Sandra went missing, MH immediately applied herself to this case. MH was arrested on April 11th, 2009, with such overwhelming amount of evidence that it is just incredible. And guys, I do not mean incredible in a positive way. It's just so shocking how much evidence is against this woman. MH, during her questioning after she was arrested, she started talking. She at first denied everything. She didn't know what happened, but police broke her down after quite a bit of time and questioning, and she gave this complete bullshit version of events. MH told police that Sandra came over to play with her daughter, as usual, and the three of them then began to play a game of hide-and-go-seek. MH then suggested to Sandra that Sandra should hide in her black suitcase so that when her daughter comes by, Sandra can jump out and scare her. And then this part, it makes literally no sense. I don't understand why she even gave this story, honestly, but she then claims that she just simply forgot that Sandra was in this black suitcase, and she drove her SUV to the church where she worked. The suitcase, I guess, was in this SUV. I don't know if she had to pick up this suitcase to put it in there, and I don't know if it was already in there, but Sandra was in the suitcase at this point. And the church that she brought Sandra to is actually owned by her father. It's her father's church. Her father was the pastor, and she was a Sunday school teacher that worked there. As she came to the church, a light bulb went into her head magically, and she remembered, oh my God, Sandra's inside. I gotta let her out. And so she immediately opened the suitcase, and she discovered the lifeless body of Sandra. She states that by the time she got to the church and realized that she was still in this suitcase, Sandra had suffocated. And MH said she was so shocked, so hysterical, so scared of the situation when she saw her body, that she then took it upon herself to dump Sandra's body into the irrigation pond where she was found. And then she went on her merry day like nothing happened. She claimed it was accidental. She never touched Sandra. She never raped her with anything. She didn't tie anything around her neck and strangled her. She didn't do any of that. She kept insisting that her death was an accident. That's all it was. She didn't give her any drugs. She kept denying that she killed Sandra and premeditated this. She never told the real story, only her bullshit version. But police placed together what they truly believed happened that day, and I will give what is widely believed to have happened to Sandra based on evidence. So on that awful day, as I will start after the footage of Sandra walking off into the right, MH lured Sandra away by either maybe she asked her for help, maybe she did ask Sandra to play with her daughter. I guess that portion doesn't particularly matter regardless of how she lured Sandra. She then zipped up Sandra in the suitcase, and about 8 minutes there is footage of MH driving through a security footage camera, leaving the trailer park 8 minutes after the video of Sandra. So she goes to where she worked, the Clover Road Baptist Church, and when she gets there, she literally calls to report that her suitcase is gone. If that's not premeditated, then I really don't know what is right there. She then brings Sandra inside the classroom and drugs her, most likely with maybe a drink. Maybe she offered Sandra a drink, but she laced it with the aprazolam. And then God only knows what exactly MH did to this child once she was unconscious. We do know that a little content warning here, she beat and raped her with a rolling pin that was in the classroom. She made a white cloth noose and then strangled Sandra to death. She then threw Sandra's body back into the suitcase, shoved her body in, and then used the curtain strings that were located inside the classroom to tie that suitcase. She then drove to the irrigation pond, threw the suitcase in, and then carried on with her life. It is stated in multiple articles that I've seen that this window from the time Sandra was taken, this footage of Sandra veering off to the right to MH coming back to the trailer park is about a 3-hour window. Sandra disappeared around 4 p.m. and she wasn't reported missing until almost 8 p.m. It absolutely breaks my heart and is devastating to think about that Sandra was very likely gone before she was even reported missing. So let's go ahead and get into the evidence here. Again, as soon as Sandra went missing, everyone in the trailer park was questioned, see if they'd seen her. MH was, of course, included in this questioning. When it was found out that Sandra was missing, MH had the audacity to text Sandra's mother, Maria, quote, "Tell the police that I had something stolen today around 4 p.m. I don't know if that makes a difference or not." Close quote. Guys, she's already setting up a narrative immediately to the victim's mother, who I'm sure at this point is scared shitless that her daughter is missing, after knowing fully aware what she did to her daughter. So, remember that candlelight vigil that happened the day after Sandra was reported missing? Well, MH causes an unbelievable scene during this vigil. When the community is coming together praying for this little girl's safe return home, in the middle of this vigil, MH starts screaming bloody murder. She's howling, she's freaking out, she's hysterical, she's waving her arms around. She then runs up to the local officers that are at this vigil, and she's just screaming at the top of her lungs that she's in my suitcase and all this stuff. Like, they're trying to calm her down so they can see what's going on. And that's when MH gives the police this note. They're standing there, they're trying to calm this woman down because she's just causing a massive scene during the vigil. And she's reading the note to the police, and this note reads, quote, "Cantu locked and stolen suitcase thrown in water on Bichetti Road and Whitehall Road. Witness." Close quote. And on the subject for the with this note is confirmed to be written by MH without a doubt. They tested her handwriting after she's arrested to confirm this. She tried to, of course, make it seem like it wasn't her handwriting, but it was. And then later they also find the notepad this note was written on, same notebook paper. In fact, they find the exact page that this note was written on, like the ripped tear at the top, and it matched. So, undeniably, MH wrote this note. She said that she found the note, I guess, in her mailbox. She had no idea, of course, who wrote it, but she felt like she was responsible to release this information because who knows why, right? Because it doesn't make any sense. And it's just weird, this note. I don't know why she deliberately misspelled certain words to make the grammar sound as if it was someone who wasn't taught how to write, I guess. Maybe she's trying to lead the police to somebody else and kind of take the eyes off her, but the police remembered this. In hindsight, the police should have probably arrested her right there, honestly. But they did initially think that for this dramatic scene that she was just wanting attention. So other evidence includes they found the string used to tie it around the suitcase Sandra was found in. They matched it to the curtain strings in the classroom once they did find out through MH's testimony that she went to the church. They searched the church and they found the missing curtain strings. They did find the rolling pin. It was still at the church. This rolling pin was found bent. It had dried blood on the end of it. They did test this DNA, and of course, it was confirmed to be Sandra's DNA. It was the foreign object that was used to sexually rape Sandra. Bottles of prazolam were also found in her home, and in some articles even state that they found some in her purse. When she dumped Sandra's body like trash in the irrigation pond that night she murdered her, there are actually 2 witnesses that placed her at the scene. They confirmed MH was there. They confirmed her SUV was there. It was a husband and wife. They remember having a little confrontation with her. and they remember her acting really strange, like in a hurry, like she just wanted to get the hell out of there. When they talked to her, she just said she was there because she had to pee, and that was the only reason why she was there. And she left. She got the hell out of there. And this evidence just keeps piling and piling on, doesn't it, for this woman? And as if all of that physical evidence isn't enough to have this woman completely guilty for the rape and murder of Sandra, there were also, I found, 2 other similar incidents that happened to 2 other people, and MH is responsible. First, an ex-boyfriend of MH had claimed that MH had drugged him when he was attempting to leave her. There's not a lot of other information besides that on this circumstance, but obviously, luckily, this man was able to escape this, and he was okay. But after everything came out about Sandra and she was arrested, this ex did come forward to let them know that she had a history of drugging people. And then this other incident, it absolutely blows my mind. MH kidnapped another little girl in the same trailer park 2 months prior to Sandra's murder. In January of 2009, MH apparently took the 7-year-old girl, her name is not released, I'm sure for protection because she was so little at this time, but she took this little girl for a few hours, apparently to the park, and God only knows what she did to this little girl too. The parents had no knowledge that their daughter was with MH. MH did, thank God, bring her back home herself, and she was just saying, oh, I found her, she was just wandering around, but I brought her back for you guys. But when this girl came back home, she wasn't acting normal. The family actually ended up having to go to the hospital because they were so concerned for their daughter because she was acting so strange. They said that she was slurring her words and talking in a lisp. She couldn't stand up straight without assistance. Like she would fall over. Like she just wasn't acting right. The hospital ran a few tests, and in this part of the research, take with a pinch of salt. Some resources say that there was a prazolam found in the child's system, and then other reports say that it was some sort of other muscle relaxer drug. It's just ridiculous. And the only reason MH wasn't arrested for this was because they apparently didn't have sufficient evidence. They couldn't prove that MH drugged this girl because MH is saying that she was not with this child the entire time. She found her and brought her home. But then she said later that she was with the child the entire time. And so she just contradicts her story over and over again. And then she says that the parents knew their daughter the entire time, and the parents are like, no, we did not know you had our daughter. You're full of shit. They had no idea where their daughter was. And I don't know about you guys, but I think it's a pretty safe bet that this girl was kidnapped and drugged by MH, just like Sandra. When she took this little girl, it was obviously like a test run. And it's just sickening. She was testing out what she could do to a little girl. Sadly, Sandra was the unlucky girl that she decided to place her full plan into effect with. Do I think that Sandra was the direct target? No, I don't think so. I think Sandra was opportunity. MH knew Sandra. She knew how trusting she was. She knew that she could get her attention anytime she wanted. She could have her anytime she wanted because she was always there playing with her daughter. And I think she knew that she could manipulate Sandra for her to go to the church with her. It's just so sad. The day MH was actually arrested, she was at the hospital, and they found her there after she had a suicide attempt. She apparently swallowed a razor blade, and the detectives seemed to think that this attempted suicide was MH having a conscience of guilt. As soon as she was stable, MH was charged with the murder. She was charged with murder with special circumstances of rape, kidnapping, and lewd of lascivious conduct with a child under 14. She originally pleaded not guilty on June 28th, 2009, ultimately to avoid the death penalty and to have the sexual assault charges dropped. She entered a plea deal, and she pled guilty on May 10th, 2010. This plea deal included that no charges could be filed against her for the previous druggings and kidnap of the ex-boyfriend and the 7-year-old girl she kidnapped before Sandra. On June 14th, 2010, she was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for first-degree murder and kidnapping. Before her sentence was read, M.H. publicly apologized to the Cantu family. Mainly, she directed her apology to Sandra's mom, Maria. And she stated, quote, "I am asking you, Maria, for your forgiveness. I can't imagine forgiving someone who would harm my own daughter, but I hope that someday you can forgive me. Maria, I wish I could give you an explanation for what happened. I owe you an explanation, but I still cannot understand why I did what I did." Close quote. She also stated during this apology that Sandra did not suffer, and she said that she did not sexually molest her. I will now insert a small clip of MH's apology, a partial portion of it. The audio is pretty difficult to hear, so if you have headphones, I do suggest to put them in for this because it is hard to hear what she is saying because she's so muffled. But I will go ahead and insert the clip now. Anytime MH is shown during her trial or her sentencing, she's seen crying. And I don't believe a single tear from her. They showed like a short little video of Sandra, and she is just seen sitting there crying the entire time, and I don't believe her, honestly. That might be me just being heartless, just knowing of what she did to Sandra, but I do not believe a single tear. I think she was crying for herself. I think she was upset that she got caught, and I think she was upset for her daughter as well, that she wouldn't be there for her daughter. That's what I think, in my honest opinion. Sandra's family also spoke before MH's sentencing, and her father took the stand, and this absolutely broke my heart. Daniel Cantu stated, quote, "You took the life of an innocent girl. She didn't do nothing. She's not even old enough to decide to eat ice cream yet." Close quote. Her paternal grandmother also spoke, Connie Cantu, and I wanted to bring up what she says because I just think it's very honorable. She says, quote, "My heart aches, and it will always ache, but you know, there's another victim here, her daughter. Her daughter will carry this mark with her for the rest of her life. I don't think she even thought about her daughter, how she's going to grow up without a mother." Close quote. And I love that she pointed this out. I feel like it shows how selfless she is. She, of course, is completely heartbroken. She lost her granddaughter, but she also wanted, I think, everyone to know that other little girl is going to suffer. And it's just so sad. I'm sure as she got older, she found out what her mother did. It's just, it's awful to think about. MH's own mother, Judy Lawless, also spoke, and she said, quote, "If I could give you justice, the justice that you deserve, that would be to have your baby girl in your arms right now. From a mother to a mother, I am so sorry." End quote. I can't imagine being the mother of MH. I think she is so brave as well. I don't think I could have taken the stand and talked about that. And while her mother was talking, I was looking at MH, and I just felt like there was no sympathy for her own mother. Like she didn't cry during her mother saying that. It was kind of weird to me. Just wanted to bring that up. I see a lot of cases where the family doesn't get any justice at all. Some don't even know who murdered their family member, right? Some people don't get that type of justice at all. Although, in true crime, I don't think there can be any right amount of justice for someone taking another person's life. But I am glad that the Cantu family, they got that closure. They do know who murdered their daughter, Sandra. And I think they do get to go to bed at night knowing that Sandra's killer will never harm anyone else ever again. I will always try to end these videos in a more positive, happy note if I can find one, of course. Again, a lot of these cases, they don't have happy moments, but this case actually does. So I did find on March 8th, 2010, almost a whole year after Sandra passed, and what would have been Sandra's 9th birthday, her family and the community took this day to remember Sandra. They basically threw a birthday party. A little over 400 people attended this remembrance birthday party. They ate pink cupcakes. Everyone was laughing and crying, sharing stories, remembering the special little girl that was taken away way too soon. People sang for her. Her family wore these t-shirts that said, "Tracy's angel forever in our hearts." Her mother, Maria, held a bouquet of pink flowers and a birthday card for Sandra. And at the very end of this party, they did release 9 illuminating pink balloons into the sky for her. Tracy Police Chaplain Don Higgins stated, quote, "Her life was and continues to be a gift from God," close quote. It's very well said. It was very nice seeing this community come together after this tragedy and just to be there for Sandra's entire family. And they were there to mourn the loss of her. And she is and always will be a beautiful angel. Alright guys, that is all I have for today's case. Thank you so much for sticking with me until the end. It has been an honor to cover Sandra's case as my first case. Please keep Sandra's name alive, as her and her family deserve it. And if you'd like, please like, share, subscribe, as I will be covering many more cases in the future. Links of social media appear in the description. Thank you all for watching. Bye.